If you want to become 4-5 and win tournaments at this level, don't waste your time learning modern pickleball. After spending hours analyzing over 1,400 shots and over 200 rallies from 4 different 4-5 men's doubles games, including Kansas PPA 4-5 men's doubles gold match featuring Chris and Will from Pickleball Studio and Pickleball Will, and I'm here to tell you that modern pickleball is not the answer to help you win games at the 4-5 level. If you don't believe me, keep watching because I'll share with you everything that I've discovered from my data. But first of all, what is modern pickleball? In a nutshell, modern pickleball emphasizes on speeding up the ball more and less dinking at the kitchen. Also, less third shot drops, instead drive the third shots more, basically playing a faster paced pickleball. Now, there's nothing wrong with this style of playing. In fact, if you can get away with doing this at whatever level you're playing at and win a lot of your games, then by all means, keep doing that. However, my data and analysis suggest that if you play modern pickleball at a 4-5 level, your odds of winning is not that great. So this begs the question, why do some of the best pickleball pro players advocate for adopting this modern pickleball approach and also recommending others to do the same? Well, here's what I think. But first, I want to thank GoSport for sponsoring today's video. Do you have any idea on average how many hours a week these professional players spend repping their drives and practicing their speed ups over and over? Do you know how many months or years they've been doing that before they even became pro? I don't know the answer, but I would be willing to bet that it's a lot of hours if you add it all up. If you're watching this video, you're most likely not a pro. However, if you are, I'd love to know how long you spend drilling your drives and speed ups each week. Let's assume that you're not a pro. Then ask yourself this question. How long do you spend drilling your drives and speed ups every week? And how long have you been doing that for consistently? My point here is that not only these pros can hit their drives with more power, more spin, and coupled with accurate placement of the ball, but also they can do all of that at a very consistent level, making their shots much harder to defend against. With a superior technique, athleticism, and often reach, the pros can punish bad drops at the kitchen much more than the amateur players can. Therefore, in pro games, the quality of the drop shots that's required at the pro level needs to be very, very high, which is another reason why many pro players like to drive their thirds now, which is probably the easier option for a lot of them compared to needing to hit consistently high quality third shot drops shot after shot. However, if you're playing at a 4-5 level, I would be very surprised if your drives would come anywhere close to how well and consistently the pros can drive the ball. Even though players at the 4-5 level will have developed decent roll volleys, but it's nowhere near as punishing as what the pros can do at the kitchen. In fact, based on my own 4-5 tournament and red game experience, most of the drive shots from the 4-5 players are not that much different from the 4-0 players, perhaps with a little more consistency and a little bit more control. And I find myself still getting away with a lot more high drops than I should because of the lack of punishment by the other team. In general, most players at this level shouldn't have any issues defending against drives at this level. However, if you do, be sure to check out my previous videos where I talk about how to help yourself defend against bangers, starting from the return of serve and the other key skills that you should be focusing on up to the 4-0 level. Now let's start looking at some data. Out of the 203 rallies and a total of 1,481 shots that I've sampled and analyzed, on average, the losing teams hit 40% of their thirds as drop shots. In contrast, the winning teams on average had a whopping 81% of the thirds being drops. And that is, the 4 winning teams on average hit twice as many third shot drops as their opponents. The other thing to know here is that the winning teams on average also had a lower error rate on their third shots, in particular the drive shots. On average, the winning teams had 94.7% success rate on their third shot drives and 87.7% on their third shot drops, whereas for the losing teams, they only had 86.5% success rate for the third shot drives and 83.3% for the third shot drops. So if you're driving your thirds a lot and your drive error rate is high, that's just not a great combination. And if by the end of this video, you're still not convinced that the third shot drop is the better strategy at a 4-5 level, and you still want to keep banging away with your thirds, at least consider spending more time than other people on drilling your drive shots so you give away less points in your games and go out with a bang. But why do I make the claim that the third shot drops are much more effective at the 4-5 level? Let's take a look at the next set of statistics. Now in pickleball, one of the most fundamental aspects of the game is the kitchen area, or the non-volley zone. This is what makes pickleball such a unique racket sport, and getting to the kitchen area is a key in winning points in pickleball. So in all 4 of these games, and that is a total of over 200 rallies, for the serving teams, their chance of making it to the kitchen after they drive their thirds was on average only around 50%. And this was true for both the winning teams and losing teams, with the winning teams making it to the kitchen around 53% of the time after they drive their third shots, versus 48% by the losing teams. And by the way, 15 out of 16 of these players all had respectable drives, and the last player did 0 third shot drive in his game. And yes, of course, he was on the winning team. So the next time you decide to rep a third shot drive, just keep in mind that you're about to flip a coin in terms of whether your team can get to the kitchen or not after your drive shot, because you only have about 50% of the chance to make it there. Let's now compare that to what happens after the teams drop their thirds. When the teams drop their third shots, on average, their chances of making it to the kitchen increased, and that is true for both the winning teams and the losing teams. However, what shocked me the most was that not only the winning teams were hitting twice as many third shot drops as the losing teams like I mentioned before, but their ability to make it to the kitchen after they had their third shot drop was significantly better than their opponents. On average, the winning teams got to the kitchen 68% of the time after they had their third shot drops, and that is 2 out of every 3 shots. In contrast, the losing teams on average made it to the kitchen only 53% of the time, which is still 5% higher than when they were driving their thirds. However, it's a much lower number than the winning teams. This indicates to me that the winning teams on average had better quality third shot drops, and also they played better transition game than the losing teams. The combination of these two things really helped the winning teams get into the kitchen more frequently before the points were over. And it's not over yet, because once the teams successfully get to the kitchen, the losing teams on average only won 45% of the rallies at the kitchen, whereas for the winning team, on average, they won 57% of the kitchen rallies. That is a difference of 12%, or to put it in a different way, the winning teams were 26% more likely to win the kitchen rallies than the losing teams. In fact, out of all the points that were won by all the teams, on average, only 57% of the points were won at the kitchen by the losing teams. In contrast, a whopping 76% of all the points won by the winning teams were earned at the kitchen. And that is 3 out of every 4 points were earned at the kitchen by the winning teams. And in my previous video, I talked about why the kitchen game and dinking is not very important for 4-0 and below. However, it's evident here that if you want to do well against players at a 4-5 level, you do need to start prioritizing on improving your kitchen games. And I'll follow up with some helpful kitchen drill videos in the future. Now, there's one more important thing that I haven't covered yet. And before I get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to the second sponsor of this video, Xiaolan, also known as my wife, who's a licensed mortgage loan officer in 6 different states. She's worked with a diverse range of clients from first-time home buyers to well-established real estate investors, helping them to secure the financing they need to achieve their goals. Whether you're looking to buy a property with more pickleball courts and players nearby, or wanting to just refinance your existing home for a better interest rate, reach out to her at www.justiceloan.us. If you do get in touch with her, be sure to let her know that I referred you, because she does pay me with her kisses. I'll pop her contact details down below in description. So what happens once you make it to the kitchen? At that point, the game simplifies into 2 types of shots, that is dinking and speed ups. Since modern pickleball emphasizes on speeding up the ball more often and played a fast-paced game, let's take a look at how these teams did when they sped up the balls. Out of the 202 rallies, the losing teams initiated a total of 49 speed-ups, and the winning teams initiated a total of 62 speed-ups. However, both losing teams and winning teams, on average, they won less than 50% of the rallies after they initiated the speed-up, with the losing teams setting at 47%, which is slightly higher than the winning teams, which is at 45%. Coincidentally, for both the winning and losing teams, on average, 63% of all the speedups were out of the air or volley speedups, with the remaining ones being off the bounce speedups. What I see is that the teams at this level are really favoring the volley speedups over the off the bounce speedups. Interestingly, the losing teams on average did much better at winning the point after they initiate off the bounce speedups than the winning teams. That is 50% for losing teams versus 39% for the winning teams. Whereas the winning teams did much better with the volley speedups, winning 49% of the rallies after they initiate a speedup versus the 45% by the losing team. Again, I think it's important that as soon as you decide to speed up the ball, be mindful that you're about to flip a coin, and your team will have roughly 50% of the chance of winning that point after you initiate the speed up, which by the way is probably not the worst strategy if your soft game is a lot worse than the other team. But at the 4-5 level, players are generally a lot more ready for speed ups, and the hands battle lasts a little bit longer than the 4-0 level, so you probably won't get much of an upper hand over your opponents in most cases. My recommendation is to still spend a lot of time get better at a soft game at the kitchen, and only speed up when it's a very good opportunity. So this way, you can let the odds be in your favor. If you made it this far into this video, I really want to thank you for giving your undivided attention to this video. It means a lot to me. And in the next few months, I'll be doing the exact same analysis for 4-5 women's doubles and 4-5 mixed doubles. And I'll be sharing all of my learnings with you. So if you don't want to miss out on those, make sure you subscribe. And also, do me a small favor please by liking this video and sharing it with others. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Whether you agree or disagree, share your thoughts down below in the comments, and thank you again. I'll see you in the next video.